In this video, I want to continue with our discussion of calculating capital budgeting metrics by kind of wrapping it up with the IRR, or internal rate of return. This one's a little bit different than the other ones, primarily because it's less about a different formula and more about what you do with it. So we're actually going to borrow all of the labels from the NPV because we're going to use all those rows. And we are actually going to recreate using the discount rate cost of capital that we have for this IRR row. We're going to recreate everything else we've already done for NPV. So the first thing is the discount factor. So equals 1 divided by 1 plus our rate over here, raised to the number of years, just like we did before. Drag all that out. And since we've got it set at 10%, we'll know that we did everything right because we should get the same values. So equals this amount times our operating cash flows. So there you go. You can just sort of kind of look up and see if we're getting the same values roughly. Again, the terminal value, same concept, equals our operating cash flow at the end. There we go. Divided by this rate minus 2%. Go ahead and just put those in brackets. And again, that's quite a bit bigger number because we haven't discounted it back from its value 10 years from now to now. So we're going to do that next. So that divided by 1 plus discount rate raised to the 10th power. And you see you get the same values. NPV is equal to the sum of all of that nonsense. So go out there and grab all of those, plus the terminal value. Boom, and sure enough the numbers match. Now all we've done there is calculate NPV. What we really want is IRR. We're going to change this to IRR, internal rate of return. Here's the magic. You go to the data tab, go under what if analysis, goal seek, and what you want to do is you want to set the NPV equal to 0 by changing the discount rate. So it solves through different values and comes back and says, the internal rate of return that would set your NPV to 0 is 55%. So again, we talk about IRR a lot in a different area, but it comes out basically to that. What I do want to show you is you do have the ability within Excel, rather than going through that process, of actually putting in an IRR function where you put in your values. And this is a little bit tricky because in that case, for that to work, what you basically have to do is to go ahead and add that terminal value out there. And so in that case, so what we want is we're going to add a terminal value out here, equals for our cash flows. Let me think about that. All right, so what we really need is the operating cash flows, which are out here, and then we need the terminal value of the operating cash flows to be some combined amount. So we're just going to drop down here. I'll tell you what. We're going to do the operating cash flows again, plus the terminal value. All right, and so that is equal to, and we don't want them discounted, we want just the raw values because the IRR takes care of all the rest of the cash flows. So we're going to go out and we're going to say it's that, except for then we're going to turn around and basically say it's that plus a terminal value. And here's where the Excel version is not great. It needs a terminal value to solve for this. It can't do it iteratively, so we would just have to plug in something. So we might say that it is the last value divided by, say, 8%. So that's the 10% minus the 2% inflation, right? And so you can get that big number. Now, we'll just see what happens. The fact that that can't change the terminal value is possibly an issue here. IRR equals, you just go and get all your values all the way out. Yeah. So it does have that function. It does not work well. Let me explain to you that the other thing, the reason that it's not working well is we have some monthly values and some annual values here. It really doesn't know what to do with all of that. So sort of a long way of basically coming around and saying that there is a function in Excel that does IRR, but it really doesn't handle any of the complexity of needing to incorporate the discount rate into the terminal value, having monthly payments mixed with annual payments, all of those sorts of things. And so as a result of that, I really just rely on this one. Good news and bad news on that. It is a much more flexible and more precise way of doing it. That's the good news. Bad news is if you change the assumptions in your financial model, you would want to come back over here and basically look and say, hey, is the NPV in fact 0? Sorry, I'm doing a highlighting there. But you're going to want to look at this NPV. I'm going to highlight it in red and make sure that it's 0. If it's not, you have to go through that goal seek process again. There are ways to either automate this or put a button on it. There's lots of things that we can do with macros and so forth, but just for now, sort of that's the simple process. Hope that's helpful for you. Thanks.